Hello, Travis Ott with Trek Bikes. I handle marketing for the mountain bike category. And what I have in front of me is the new Trek Supercaliber. This is a brand new bike for us. This is a dedicated cross-country race bike. This is really intended for those people who want the fastest bike out there possible. So when we were doing the development, the concepting on this bike, the idea was we wanted to have the efficiency of a hardtail with the performance, the capability of a full suspension bike. A lot of our World Cup cross-country athletes, every race they go to, every World Cup, they bring both their hardtail and their full suspension bike, and then they'll ride the course and figure out which model they want to use. The idea was that we could give them one bike that had the efficiency, the pedaling characteristics of a hardtail, but also gave you some of the suspension performance of the full suspension bike, and that's what we have with the Supercaliber. The most striking feature here is the new IsoStrut. And this is where we have this integrated suspension in here. We have made the suspension a structural member of the bike. So we worked with Fox and we created this brand new IsoStrut. It's a piece that's unique to this bike. And what it does is it prevents any sort of twisting flex. It allows the suspension, the shock in there, to work as it should without putting any sort of twisting motions on it that could potentially harm it. So it gives you the performance, the pedaling characteristics of a hardtail in that way. You'll notice as well too that there is no pivot in here like we do have on a lot of our full suspension bikes where you'll have a rear concentric pivot. That's because we have these stays right here that as it's going through its travel, it has a little bit of flex there that acts as a pivot point. Getting rid of that pivot point allows us to save some weight and keeps the bike lightweight for those cross-country racers. So with IsoStrut, you get about 60 millimeters of travel in the rear, mated to 100 millimeters up front. And then you have a very lightweight overall package as well. That's somewhere in between that of a full suspension and hardtail. Other features on this bike worth pointing out is you have things like our control-free cable routing that allows you to route the cables in any sort of manner if you want. If you want to flip your brakes, if you need to run Di2 setups, no matter what you want to do, if you want to put a dropper post on here, it'll accommodate all of that. Other things worth noting about this bike as you're looking at it, you'll see that you also have the ability to carry 2 water bottles. That is huge for cross-country racers. When they're doing some of these longer races, the ability to carry 2 bottles is a big benefit. So that was a mandatory when we were designing this bike, is it needed to be able to carry 2 bottles. This bike is going to be available in Project One as well too. Project One is our custom bike program. So that's where you get to pick the color, but also the spec on the bike. So you can decide if you want to have the SRAM axis, the wireless group, like you see here on this bike, clean up the cockpit a little bit, or maybe you prefer the Shimano XTR and you'd like to have a Shimano drivetrain on there. Your call with Project One. So that's it. This is the Supercaliber. This is our dedicated race bike for all those cross-country enthusiasts out there.